Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3:01 here, starting a little bit late. Apologize for that. But it's 3:01 here in Chicago, Illinois. That means it's time for another live stream. And today is Thursday, April 22nd, 2021. Because it's Thursday, we're going to go with a happy hour. And today I've got some kombucha. I've had this brand of kombucha on a happy hour before, this Remedy brand kombucha. It's pretty good. But my wife ended up buying this peach flavor, and it's super tasty, and I've just been loving it. I was thinking about having a beer this afternoon, but I thought, you know what? Kombucha might be the better choice for today. So that's what I'm going to be having. Let me know what you guys are going to be having for your happy hour today, what you have for your recovered beverage of choice. And cheers to you guys. It's good. I mean, you still get kombucha face whenever you drink this because it's got that like tartness, that bitterness to it. But peach flavored things. I love peach flavored things. Some of my favorite gummies. That's good. Some of my favorite gummies are those rings that are two-toned. It's like peach colored on top, and then it's a lighter color, like almost a white color on the bottom, or maybe it's other way. I think it's white on the bottom. Those are some of my favorite treats to have. I mean, they're almost too sweet, too delicious, so you can't have like a whole bunch of them, but they're so good. All right, how you guys doing today? How's everyone on the podcast doing? Everyone listening in, audio only. Hopefully you guys are having a good run. And everyone listening on YouTube after the fact, welcome to you guys as well. So glad to have you. All right, we got Albert in here live saying, happy hour, friends. We'll resume running later on today after the AstraZeneca first shot. Knocked me out for a good 1.5 days. Awesome. Yeah. Well, was that your first shot? Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Take it easy out there. Be kind to yourself, but glad to hear that you are feeling up to it. Philip Bourne says, what's going on? Got the keys to a new apartment today. Awesome. Next few days we'll be busy with painting, and Tuesday, finally the move. Very cool. Congratulations on the new place. Dr. Josh is here, says, what up, fam? Koozie Bucha. Nice. I like what you did there. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's a tasty drink. This is a tasty drink. I don't like these size cans, though. This size of a can is kind of odd to me. But, you know, it's a good drink. Something that I still don't understand is like that Red Bull is very heavily involved in a lot of other sports. Doesn't seem to be very heavily penetrated into running, but like it seems like it's pretty big in triathlon, right? Or am I just skewed because of like the two triathletes that I follow on YouTube? But it seems like in a lot of other sports, like Monster Energy drinks, Red Bulls are really big, and I could see it being like big in running. It just isn't now, but that's what these cans normally remind me of, is Red Bulls. Affluent Journey says, I'm going head to head with the UFC press conference. Is there a lot of crossover between those two audiences? I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever watched a UFC match before. Like I've seen like footage of it, you know, I've seen like highlight reels and I've seen people like talk about it, but like, I don't think I've ever watched like a match. Like you could tell me that they have like WWE style intros. When like I was going to say characters, when the athletes come in and get introduced, or you could tell me that like, you know, they rise up from like a raised floor and I wouldn't know the difference because I've never actually seen it. Like, I don't know what the rules are or anything. Yeah. I come to think of it, it's a sport that I've never actually watched. It always seems pretty interesting, but I never ended up getting into it. And as Dunbar says, hey, Kofuzi and everybody, another Zone 2 run with Pip tonight, making progress with Zone 2 runs, 8:10 pace at 1:17 for the 4 miles. That's amazing. I was watching Ed Bud's video. He had a video about like a week's worth of his running, and his low heart rate training. I don't know if he's not strictly low heart rate training, but like his easy runs are a little bit slower than 8:10 though, or maybe they're about that range. I am on live stream, honey. The baby's here. Yeah, but his runs, I think they were right in that range too, and he was he was higher than 1:17, but lower than I would normally be at that pace. So I was like, impressive, Ed. Good job, and good job, Ennis. Your low heart rate stuff is pretty crazy good. Christian says, happy hour, co-family. Snuck in a 30-minute nap. Nothing but water day. Awesome. My daughter seems to have relapsed a little bit in terms of her cold. And so like yesterday she had the day off because it was teacher conferences day, virtual teacher conferences. And then the day before that, I think she went to school. And I think Monday she went to school. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, she did. But today she started the day off. And then after lunch, I was like, no, you're not going back because she was coughing like crazy. So I think she's taking a nap right now, like her second nap of the day. And she never naps. So hopefully hopefully it's just like a momentary relapse. Securely says, good day, everyone. What's going on? Recycle on Wednesdays here. Greg's here. He says, Drake Relays Week. Let's go. Awesome. That blue track that the Drake Relays has, it's always so captivating. It's mesmerizing. It's an event that I never have attended, but it's something that I would like to attend. Dennis Chick says, hola a todos. And Recycle on Wednesday says, I woke up early to do laundry. Can I get a cowbell? Okay, you can get a cowbell. Good job on the laundry. Oh, that was a little bit low on the volume. Sorry about that. All right. So, here, let's do this one real quick before I get to my stuff. Fantabulous Dopke says, hi, everyone. Finally cracked that 40-minute goal on the 10K. Went from 40:16 to 39:10 today. Amazing. That's quite an improvement. So cheers. And what a way to break in the next percent twos. Nice work. Excellent work. Man, that's coming through with authority. I love it. So races. So there's good news and there's bad news, right? I mean, the bad news isn't bad news. Maybe it's bad news. So the two races that I was thinking about, I signed up for both of those races, but one of them I'm not going to be able to go to. The first one I signed up for was that Ferguson run in Missouri on May 15th. I was going to do that one. There's a 5K and a 10K. I think there's also a mile run for the kids. I think. Something like that. But I signed up for the 10K last night, thinking I was going to do that. And then here's the thing. I signed up for it first, and then I asked my wife if it was okay. I mean, we'd already talked about it like 2 times, and I'm pretty sure that I had the okay, but I didn't get like the final, like, so we good on this? But I figured, you know what? I'm just going to book it because otherwise I'll forget, and then it'll slip away from me. I have a really bad habit of doing that kind of thing. So I just booked it last night. But then I got a call from my sister today, and she's going to be coming into town, kind of work related. It's work related, but like it's not for work. But she's coming into town, and she's going to bring her family that same week. Ends up being that same weekend. So I'm going to instead of going to St. Louis that weekend, I'm going to stay here for that weekend. So I won't be doing the Ferguson run, which I kind of wanted to do that one. I thought that'd be kind of cool. NAZ Elite's involved in that race a little bit, and so I didn't know if they'd be sending anyone out there, but I thought, man, that would be probably a pretty good opportunity to try and schedule an interview with whoever's out there, so I was thinking there could be some opportunities there. But on the other hand, I haven't seen my sister and her family in over a year, and my sister is going to be going to Tokyo soon for the Olympics, which I mentioned it before. She works for NBC Sports, and she is going to be going. Normally, like, she doesn't bring the family because she's there for a long time, but at some point my brother-in-law will bring, their kids over, and then they'll hang out. And then my parents usually go to the Olympics too, but this year that's, not going to happen. But I did want to make sure that I can get to see her before she goes to Tokyo. Because if I don't see her now, I won't see her till like September. And so I felt like, I got it. It's a bummer that those happen on the same weekend, but that's an easy choice for me. Definitely gonna go see my sister. And the other race that I signed up for so far is still gonna be on my calendar. Is I signed up for that trail race in Iowa, June 5th. It's called the Crater Trail Race. I'll post a link to it in the description later. In case any of you are up for a 50K in the woods, there still seems to be registrations available. It's in Decorah, Iowa, which is where, what's the name of the brewing company that's out there? But they make Pseudo Sue. It's a really good brewery right in that town. So I'm thinking that I don't know if my family's going to go out there yet, but I'm thinking we'll go out there. I'll go spend the night at my in-laws' house, drive out early in the morning to Decorah, run the 50K, and then spend a lot of time in the afternoon. Maybe not too much time because I'm going to have to drive home too, but but then probably hang out at the brewery afterward. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for the 50K. It's, I think they said like 5,700 feet of elevation. It's a 2-lap course, 225K loops. I haven't seen an elevation map of it yet, though, or anything. There's not a lot of information. It's not a very big race. I think last year they held it last year, and last year there were 16 finishers, and then I think like 3 or 4 DNFs and 2 or 3 DNSs. So that's what we'll be doing then for June. I'm trying to figure out another May race that I could do. I might just do one in Chicago. There is a half marathon and marathon out in the suburbs the weekend after my sister would be in town. So I'm kind of looking at that, but I'd like to also kind of like get out. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. So that's just the announcements for the races that I've got going on. I'm still trying to convince my wife that it'd be a good idea for me to try and go down to Atlanta for Peachtree Road Race. Try to get a spot on that race, live person bib, but we'll see. I'm not sure about that one yet, but I'm kind of looking at that one. Yeah, Jeff Elliott said Ben Rosario, the NAZ elite coach, tweeted something about recent disappointments. It was weird. Yeah, I think that like they haven't been performing as well as they want to yet. Although I don't think that they've been like underperforming. Maybe they think they have, or maybe other people think that they have. But I think he wanted to make the point of like, you shouldn't just be talking about the successes. You got to talk about if you're going to be transparent, if you're going to bring people in along for the journey, you got to bring them into the ups and the downs. And he's saying, we're in down swing, I guess. So, yeah, Steve says, yo, what's going on? Quick 5K blast in the Magic Speed today. Pretty firm. Sorry, it's not a Nova Blast with a plate. Foam is more like an SL20 firm. Ooh, interesting. Very interesting. I don't think mine have shipped yet. I ordered mine from Running Warehouse. I don't think mine are going to ship for another week. I don't think they ship till April 30th. But I also saw today, speaking of other shoes, the next shoe that I'm looking at is the Rebel 2. And it looks like, at least in that, like the one, I'm going to call it Mango. I don't know if they're calling it Mango, but that Mango version, that was released already in the US, but none of the other colors are. And so I'm at this point, I'm like, I'm going to wait. I was planning that it's not going to come out till May something anyway. So I'm just going to keep waiting. I'll get it in the black color. And third pair of shoes today to talk about is the Peg 38 is out in the US as well. And there's 2 colors that are out, like a premium edition. And it's that weird thing where one shoe is one color and the other is a different color. I'm not a huge fan of that. But that's the premium version that you can get. And then like the regular one that everyone's like the white with the black on the back, that one's out as well. And that's released today. If you have to be a Nike member, it's free, but I'm waiting for the Nike by You on that one. It's listed on the Nike website as coming soon. That's what I did last year. I think I'm going to do that again. Yeah. Jeff says about the NAZ Elite, it's like they weren't happy with the results they had been getting lately, but with so little going on, it seems reasonable. Yeah. I mean, I think that they're thinking that they're going to be able to not run the table, but maybe they're concerned that they're not on the trajectory that they want to be ahead of the track trials coming up. So maybe that's what they're talking about. Luis Valda says, hey, Michael, question. Does the Metaspeed Sky fit shorter or snugger than the Next Percent? Many people are recommending to size up. I've seen that going around in terms of saying it's to size up. But, I went with the same normal size 9, and I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was unduly constricted. So I would say kind of like my normal advice then would be, if you're the type of person that has to size up on some shoes, then I would say probably size up. But I'm normally like squarely within a size 9. And for me, that's the right size. I wouldn't want to go bigger. I feel like if I went bigger, I might have more room, but I feel like I'd be really like cinching down the shoes hard, and then I just feel like it wouldn't feel as snappy for me. All right, sorry, the chat just jumped on me. I run on beer says planning a visit based on a brewery. Now you're speaking my language. Yeah, I mean Iowa. That part of Iowa as well. I mean, I think Iowa. First, I mean, I think the way the liquor laws like loosened was that wineries became easier to operate or less regulated or controlled by the state. And so there was a proliferation of wineries, maybe about starting 10, 15 years ago in Iowa. And then and so like everywhere there was a winery. And then some number of years ago, that expanded to include microbreweries. And so microbreweries started appearing everywhere. And so the fact that there's a microbrewery in a town called as small as Decorah, Iowa, and a microbrewery in, I mean, there's multiple microbreweries within a reasonable drive from where my in-laws live. And that's a town of like a population of like 600, right? And so like the next big town over, Dyersville, 5-minute drive away, has one. The next town over from Dyersville is Manchester, has a microbrewery as well. And then there's multiple microbreweries in Dubuque as well. So like within a 45-minute drive, you know, there's probably 4 microbreweries, even in small town Iowa. So, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. There used to be a brewery up in McGregor, which is not that much farther from where we were in Guttenberg. I feel like Guttenberg could really use a microbrewery, but because it's more of the tourist town in that region. But there was, I don't know if it still exists, but there was one up in McGregor that's right on the, I mean, Guttenberg is as well on the Iowa-Wisconsin border, but, you know, I'd say the Decorah one is exceptional. The beers that they make there, I mean, you can get them here in Chicago because they ship the export, I guess is the right word. But, you know, in terms of like having like, you know, a good local brewery, there's plenty in Iowa. It's a good place for drinking beer. Which is very strange because like whenever you go into any of them, it's always like, what sells the best? And like the bartender always goes, the one that tastes closest to Busch Light. But then there's always like and then there's like on the other end of the spectrum, there's like the double IPA, which is just like super beer nerdy stuff. And I'm like, that's a little bit too beer nerdy for me. Give me something like somewhere over in that range, but not quite all the way in the, you know, on that end of the spectrum. So it's an interesting place to drink beer, generally, but you know it's definitely has a very beer friendly culture. Bryce Rankin says, "I love Decorah. Almost went to college at Luther. Oh, that's cool. Very cool." Spence says Decorah is on the wrong side of the state. That's the side of the state that I know. I mentioned it the other day about the race that's going to be up there. They're saying it's in like eastern Iowa Bluffs. So like I have a feeling I know what I'm getting into, not knowing anything about like the race itself. And I'm gonna try and find someone that's done like a GPS, like has like a GPX or something that I can look at to get a better sense of like the altitude and what the race is actually going to be like. I have a feeling it's one of those things where, you know, like there's not, it's not done by like a professional race organization company. It's just a race that some local people put on. So I think it would be pretty cool. Oh, and I did, you know, like whenever you sign up for a race, you know, you list like where you're from. I did list New Vienna as where I hail from for this race. I thought that would be, you know, maybe I fit in a little bit better with the locals. All right, Guru 2025 says, "How we all doing? What's going on, Guru? It's a good day. We made it to happy hour today, so it's good." All right. Steven Music says, "My wife." That's funny. All right, I'm gonna scroll down. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit just because I'm really far behind, but I do see this one. Kofuzi and Dr. Josh, curious what you're doing for storage of all your videos. Eating through HD space quickly over here. Yeah. So for me, what I do is I have a external drive. I usually get their Seagate 4 terabyte drives that I use, and every time I'm like done with the video, I'll move all the used footage over to that. And then if I ever need to refer back to it, I have like a list of the different, you know, every video that I've made. Nothing too intense, just like the name of the song or the music that was used, and then the title of the video, the date of the footage, and then the date that the video is published. And so that way I can be like, you know, if I need to go back and get footage of, say, like the first time I ran into Alphafly, then I know like what date to go look back through on the hard drive for it. Because yeah, I mean, these days, sometimes like the files that I'm working, it'll take me like 80 gigs to put together a video sometimes. So I need to clear up quite a bit of it because I have a little MacBook. That's getting a little long in the tooth, but so that's how I deal with it. And then the talking portions, after I've edited the video, I delete those because those are just so big. Those files in themselves are like 20 gigs big because it's like talking for like 20 minutes. I mean, it's 4K, 20 minutes of it. So it ends up being pretty space intensive. So I just delete that because I feel like everything that I needed to say made it into the edit, and then everything else I'll just delete. But the raw footage of like the running and like the B-roll for the product shots, I keep those. All right. All right, let's scroll down to the bottom. Sorry, guys. If you guys had a question, I definitely want to get to it, but I just want to make sure I'm like kind of with you guys, contemporaneously with the chat. So you might have to repeat it. I apologize for that. Janelle Tilao says, which is better, the Pegasus 38 or the Hoka Mach 4? I haven't run in the Peg 38. I suspect it's going to be a lot like the Peg 37. I'm hoping that they've tweaked it a little bit. I know they say like on certain years they don't do anything to the midsole, but I think that they do like tweak things just a little bit. I hope that they made it a little bit softer, or at least done something to the rubber to make it a little less dense. So that's what I'm hoping. And I would say the main difference between the two would like better. Better is such a subjective term. Without defining better any further, I'm probably going to say, I don't know. Considering I haven't run in the Peg 38, I might give it to the Mach 4. But, I mean, it depends on what you're using it for, I think, is going to make a big difference. We'll see. Yeah, Remy says use Strava for race recon. Try it. Yeah, I think that's going to be my first thing. I'm going to look to see if anyone has Crater Trail. They have the listing of everyone, everyone that finished last year. So I feel like if I do a Strava search for those people, I think that I'll probably be able to find it. So I think I'll be able to find it there. Greg says instead of a beer mile, we need a Kofuzi kombucha mile. Everyone everyone have really good race faces for that one. I think everybody's be like, oh, hey. All right, I think I'm all caught up. Mark wants to know what shoes am I going to wear for the virtual half. See, I was pretty sure that I was going to use the Adios Pro, but now I'm thinking I might use the Metaspeed Sky. So like I still think I haven't quite decided yet. I want to run in the Adios Pro mainly because here's where my thought process is on it. The Adios Pro, I love like just the it's like bounciness that you get when you're running at like around threshold pace. Just feels really, really nice. And I'll be toned back a little bit from threshold pace for a half marathon. And I just think that it's going to be really pleasant. And not pleasant's not the right word. I feel like there's going to be a lot of power underfoot to run in the Adios Pro. But what I have noticed is that like when I run in the Adios Pro, I don't have a lot of butt kick in my foot stride. My leg drags a little bit. I don't see that quite as much with the Metaspeed Sky. And then so I think like the way that the FF Turbo midsole foam is that what it's called? I'm drawing a blank on one FF Turbo, right? That foam that's in the Metaspeed Sky is bouncy. I feel like it's kicking up my leg a little bit in the back, so it's not dragging so much. So I think that's going to help me be a little bit more efficient over the 13.1. So that's kind of like my thought process on the two. Both, I don't think the good news is I'm not going to make a bad choice. I think they're both going to be good ones, but I'm not sure which one I'm going to pick yet. Matt says in terms of his video storage, I keep everything. So stupid. Way too much video storage. Yeah. I mean, I think it's been about 2 years that I've been getting rid of the talking head portion of the videos that I make. And there hasn't been a time yet where I was like, that I remember that thing that I said that ended up on the cutting room floor. I really wish I had that clip so I can go back to it now. You know, I've never said that. I have gone back and gotten footage before, you know, so that's something. I suppose what I could do as well, though, is like just only keep the final edits of the videos. But sometimes, you know, like especially when it comes to the product shots, you know, sometimes like I might have only used a very short amount of like a product shot or a certain angle to make it fit with like the music. But like in another video, I might want to have the longer shot. So I like having the originals for that. So I keep that's kind of just how I made the decision. David Lidstone says, sitting whilst writing my Nat 5 prelim about whether carbon plated running shoes are cheating / mechanical doping. Oh, awesome. An interesting topic. Very timely. Very cool. I run a beer says, sorry, I may have missed this, but what quality do you record your running footage in? I've been using the GoPro 9 and often have issues with file size / battery life. Yeah, I don't have problems with the file size or battery life because most of my clips are less than, say, 15 seconds long. Unless I'm talking to the camera, that's the only time I'll have a clip that's longer than that. It's pretty rare that I'll have it for longer than that. Unless I'm like, all right, what I definitely want to get, I might do this if like I'm testing a certain shoe is, you know, if I'm running like a threshold mile or something like that, and I want to have like 30 seconds of just footsteps, you know, I might have a longer clip. But other than that, there's usually not a need to like have a very long clip, in my opinion. So that's one way I manage the file sizes. I might end up with 40 clips after the end of a run, but none of them will be very long. But I usually shoot in 2.7K at 120 frames per second. And then everything else is pretty much on auto. I do linear because I have a selfie stick. So I'm far enough out that like I can still see everything I need to see. I don't need to use fisheye to get more into the frame. If it's very, very low light, I'll switch down to 1080 at 120 frames per second. But I'm pretty much always at 120 frames per second. All right, Alan Shrimpton said, oh, the plasma donation yesterday went well and heart rate normal this morning. Tested on easy run. Yeah, cool. Test on an easy run today. Well, hope you have a good run, Alan. Awesome. Brendan's here. Good to see you, Brendan. Says, hello. Signed up for that in-person race the other day. Today was announced Halifax is going into a 4-week lockdown. I'm so sorry about that, Brendan. Yeah, it's a weird time. It's a weird time to try to figure it out. Yeah, everywhere, every place is in a different place, you know, and so it's hard. Everyone is ready to be done with everything. I completely understand that. I feel ready to do some racing in person. Well, by Monday I'll be the 2 weeks after my vaccination, so I'm feeling a lot better about stuff. But like, you know, I was talking about yesterday that I'm like hesitant to come out of the bunker. My wife is very hesitant to come out of the bunker. We're going to just be cowering and quivering together as we like re-enter the real world. I just feel like we're going to be like, you guys remember the movie Varsity Blues, when they come out of the strip club, like in the 4 o'clock and like in the middle of the day, like they've been there all night and they're just like, what is going on? I feel like that's going to be like my wife and I like trying to re-enter the real world. But we're working on it. But Brendan, I hope things in Halifax can stay under control and that it's 4 weeks is a long time. Yeah, and they usually don't end those things early, but man, I hope it could stay under control with that 4 weeks. JC says, what would you say is a reasonable difference in the pace as you go from 5K to 10K half marathon to full? I mean, there's tables for that they make. They're usually based off of like the VDOT. If you look up like the VDOT pace calculator, they usually have the tables laid out. For me, I think that if I were to like race a 5K, like taper for it, like, you know, like my current level of fitness, if I had like you know, if I were to, I've been thinking maybe of trying to hop into a 5K for for a race in May. You know, I think I could run somewhere like 6:15, 6:10 per mile, which would be a PR for me. And so I'd really would like to officially update my 5K PR, but I think that's where I'm at. For 10K, I'm at a little right around 6:26. So I guess that's what, like 10 or 15 seconds per mile difference. And then for my half marathon PR is about 10 seconds slower than that. So right now, I think I'm closer to like 15 seconds slower than that, maybe 20 seconds slower than that in my current level of fitness. And then to the full is another 20 seconds. So maybe like anywhere between 10 to 20 seconds for each distance, I guess, per mile. Whether that's reasonable, I'm not sure. That seems to be mine. But I think that's probably pretty close. Sean says, looking for a mid-stack, non-plated, long-distance daily trainer. I think the Rebel 2 might be too low. Suggestions, Co? Long-distance daily trainer. I mean, the 1080 doesn't cut it for you, Sean? That's what I would... Okay. Is Mommy home? I think she's home. I think my wife got back. My wife got her second Pfizer shot today. So I think she's back. I thought I heard her come back. But yeah, I think I might look at the 1080. I would look at the Mach 4 as well. I'm really liking that shoe. Trying to think what else is in there. I feel like I don't know what I thought the Rebel 2 was a tall stack height shoe this year. Oh, I guess I'm off on that. I don't think I've ever actually looked at the numbers for it. But if you're looking for something that's a little bit taller, that's where I'd look. I mean, I know that those, for me, those kind of fit in the max cushion category, but like, you know, I feel like with the 1080, it's not exactly max cushion anymore, I think. So that's what I would look at. I mean, the Clifton is always there as well. I did get a pair of Clifton 8s, so I've got those sitting in here. I probably won't take a look at them until a little, because I don't know when the release date is. I think I got them early, so I think it's a little bit early for me to have them. So I'm not in like a super rush to run in them. But yeah, once this weekend I'll do the half marathon, and then I'm thinking for the next race that I do, whatever it is in May, it's not going to be that 10K anymore, but whatever I do in May will probably be just something that I race as a workout, starting to get ready for that 50K. So I need to start putting in some mileage. So I think that's when like that Clifton, I think, will be really nice. So. Lauren McGowan says, I saw the Metaspeed Sky in public for the first time today, and he was walking his dog. You know, I sometimes end up walking the dog in the super shoes. I always feel a little bit silly about it. Oh, perfect. That's awesome. My wife is back, and she got the baby some milk. Yeah, because so like I do my workouts in the morning, and then when I come home, the dog really, really needs to go. Because if I can help it, I don't walk the dog before I go for my run. Okay, you have to push the button on the remote. It's the Apple, or I think it's Netflix. That's like asking you if you're still watching. I hate that thing. I wish there were a way to like change it in the settings so like it never comes on. But yeah, so like I end up walking the dog because by the time I get home, the dog's like, you know, he needs to go. And so sometimes I end up, I've definitely walked the dog in Audios Pro, like the bright yellow racing shoes. I've walked the dog today in the Invincible, which is a little bit more like, or a little bit less ridiculous, I guess. I don't think I've walked the dog in Alpha Flies. I've definitely walked the dog in the Endorphin Pro yesterday. So yeah, I've been there. I've done it. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe Oren, you're like, this guy was walking his dog. I'm just like, I'm taking the dog outside for a pee, you know. So, but I do remember, you know, whenever I think about people jogging in like the super shoes, I think about Jamie, because I remember when we were, we filmed that run that one time, and we were running around Lady Bird Lake, which is not a lake, by the way, in Austin. But we were running around there. It's a, you know, very popular running area, and like Jamie like spotted like more than a quarter mile out, like with eagle eyes, like that dude's jogging in his next percents. And I was like, what? It might have been 4%. I don't remember what shoe it would have been at that time, but it wasn't Alpha Flight because it was before then. But he was like, that dude's jogging. He just saw it. That definitely caught his eye. So anytime talks about anyone says something about like people doing weird things in their super shoes, that's what I think about. The other thing that I sometimes also think about is the time that Casey was on sneaker shopping. Yeah, I don't know why I think about it that way too, but yeah. Marchenko wants to know Metaspeed Sky over the Alpha Fly for a half marathon. Yeah. I mean, I'm not really that interested in racing in any of my Nike shoes. So, I mean, they're good shoes, and I think that they should be in everyone's consideration. But for me, I think for me, reviewing them is kind of one thing, but the ones I want to race in, those are, that's for me. So, yeah. So I've been looking at the 3 shoes I've been looking at for this half marathon. And again, it's not going to be a PR attempt. I'm just going out there to get in a really good workout and have some fun and enjoy it as hopefully my last virtual race experience of the pandemic, and kind of savor it that way. It'll be a send off in a way, the 3 shoes I was looking at are the Endorphin Pro, the Metaspeed Sky, and the Adios Pro. So that's what I was looking at. Saragon McKinney says the Believe in the Run test on the Peg 38 reporting big improvement to the upper. That's good. I mean, I did a Nike by You last year, so I had a different upper on mine anyway. So like, I didn't have any problems. Like, I thought the upper was great last year. I had 0 problems with the upper last year. This year it looks puffier, so I'm concerned. My problems with the shoe last year were it was like they made a React shoe that doesn't feel like React. It was a little bit. I don't think it was a bad shoe. I was just disappointed with it. I had very, very high hopes and expectations to it. Matt Legrand says, Kofuzi, I almost always refer back to the final edit when he refers back to other footage in his videos when Matt does it. He says, but to keep all the original, killing the talking head is a good idea, although then my project files will be messed up if I were to reopen them. I delete my project files too. So I use Final Cut. I don't know what you use, Matt, but in Final Cut, the project files get gigantic. So it's not like Premiere files stay small because everything's references. It just points to stuff. Final Cut Pro ingests the file. So if I've got like 20 gigs of talking head and like 3 gigs of running footage and then like 2 gigs of B-roll footage, the Final Cut profile is going to be like 30 gigs, 40 gigs big for some reason. It makes no sense. But I think part of it is when it renders the not the previews, but when it does background rendering, I think that goes into the project file. So the project files get super big and I delete those because I feel like I don't know what I would ever need it for. Again, it's one of those things where I started doing that a while ago and then I've never needed to be like, yeah, if I only had that project file, I could do something. I don't know what I would do. So that's the other thing that I get rid of. I usually wait like a day though. I don't delete those like it's not like I publish and then delete all that stuff. I usually wait a day, make sure there wasn't anything wrong, make sure I don't if there was some sort of rendering error and I uploaded it anyway, then if I need to like fix it, by the next day I'll know. Then I'll delete that stuff. Chris says, just received my t-shirt and medal from January's virtual Miami half marathon, which I ran as a MAF and beats per minute progression run. LOL. The medal is giant. Some spinning thing I have to assemble. Oh man, spinning medals are fun. They're a little bit dated though, but like I have a spinning medal from I think 2 or 3 years ago from the Chicago Half Marathon. They're fun. It's that medal that I have is giant too, but that's funny. And Scotty B says UPS just came by with the Metaspeed Sky. Awesome. That is a fun shoe. Super fun shoe. Duke BB22 says just started running and using the Clifton 7s. Knees are very sore. Any suggestions? Yeah, I mean, I would say go easy on the knees a little bit if you can. If you've just started running, it could be this is part of your body kind of like getting used to all the different kinds of impacts and strains you're putting on it. The main thing I think I could suggest, I mean, some people like ice. I don't really think ice works. If you want to use like Advil, like to just kind of like take the edge off of that, that could be something you could do. But I generally don't use Advil to deal with kind of like running stresses. I don't know why. I don't have like a problem with it. I just, in my mind, it doesn't register to, or I don't consider to do that really. But the main thing that I would think about for you, Duke, is can you find some softer surfaces to run on until kind of like your knees kind of like catch up to the rest of your body? It seems like your respiratory system is adapting quickly and then maybe need a little bit of time to adjust to the new strain. So if you can run on some grass, some dirt, if you can get on a track and run some laps on the track instead of running on roads, or a treadmill. Treadmills are a lot softer as well. That's something that I would look at. I'm assuming since you said you just started running that the Cliftons are fresh, but if there were older Cliftons, like maybe you bought them like a couple of years ago. Well, you said 7, so they're not. So they're from last year at the latest. So, but if they're older, then I might consider changing them. But if you just started, those are probably fine, and I wouldn't worry about those. I'll just try to find something softer to run on. Bryce Blankfield says, I've been able to put 700 plus miles on every pair of Pegasus I've ever owned and never paid more than $100 for a pair. That's an impressive combo. It's a good dollars per mile or miles per dollar ratio there. Incredible. I haven't run a Pegasus to end of life since maybe the 35, I think. And for me, at like 270, that Cushlon foam would just kind of just compress so much that I could definitely feel that I was like, oh, I need a new shoe. And that was at 270, 300 range for me. All right. Scotty B says, or Stevie76 says, on my last conference session, inclusive intelligence in practice. Lead better by recognizing, understanding, and interrupting your unconscious bias. Well, that's nice. It's good to have those kinds of sessions, I think. It's good. Felix said he got the Rebel version 2 arrived today. First impression is great. That's awesome. Very cool. And John Brian Serrano says, would you use your A game gels or B game gels for a half marathon this weekend? I don't have any Martins on hand. So if I did, I probably would bring one. So I'm thinking I'm going to try and stay light. I was thinking I might try a pack. Camelback sent me a new pack to run in, but it's a little bit big. And I think it's going to just be bouncing around a lot for a half marathon. I'll probably take it out for that 50K. But so I think I'm going to go with the flip belt for a little bit of water. It's just like 10 to 12 ounces is all I can really fit in that thing. So I'll bring some water, and then I'm thinking maybe I'll probably bring 3 gels, planning to eat probably 2 of them. And so I'll bring a Science and Sport and a Unived, probably one of the caffeinated ones. So I think that's what I'm going to bring. So I'm bringing like a B, and then like the Univeds, I kind of put in like the B plus range. So I guess they're A gels, but like the Martins are like in their own category. I would just say there's nothing like them. So yeah. And Oren says, according to Believe in the Run, the Clifton 8 is basically the same as the Clifton 7. They're really milking that thing. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking at it, and here's it. They're really milking the EVA Cal. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, the Clifton 8, and I'm like, it looks exactly like the Clifton 7 to me. So like but I thought the Clifton 7 was the best Clifton they'd ever made. So I'm not mad, but I'm also not like super excited to be like, oh, what's this going to be? So I'm anticipating it'll be great for those weeks where I'm doing a lot of 10 to 13 mile runs, like just in a row, back to back to back. So that's where I'm going to be really enjoying that Clifton. Susan says, spinning things can never be outdated, especially metal. I love that attitude. Remember spinner like on like car like wheels? Remember those? Oh man, I lived in St. Louis at the height of that, and it was an amazing time to be living in St. Louis during like the rims craze. I saw so many things. Mako Petrick says, what are some good everyday running New Balance shoes? I think the 1080 version 11 is probably the first one that I'd kind of like have people look at. I also really like the Beacon. It's a little bit firmer, lower to the ground. So if you want a little bit more road feel, or if you're going to be taking something to the track and or treadmill, I think that's a great choice. And then the third one I'd have people look at is the 880 version 11. It's kind of like, depending on where you're coming from, going to be more familiar if you're coming from like Asics Mizuno. But also I like them more than I tend to like Asics and Mizunos. And it's just kind of like a no frills, get it done, solid quality shoe. So that's another one that I really like. I almost ran in those today, but I ended up going with the Invincibles instead this morning. All right. Yeah, fidget spinners. I mean, I liked the fidget spinners. I remember when fidget spinners first came out. I mean, that's not that you guys wouldn't, but I remember like it went from like the only way you can get them is you had to find some dude with a 3D printer making them on and selling them on Etsy. And I remember I bought a whole bunch of them at like $30 each and sent them to my nephews. And so like they were like, I'm hoping they were the first kids in Iowa to have them. Because I remember I got on that early because I'm like, these things are fantastic. And then you could find them everywhere. You can even, I mean, I think they still sell them at like like as like an impulse purchase at like Michael's, like the craft and hobby store. So, yeah. Martha's here. What's going on, Martha? How are you? She goes, the day has something missing when I miss a live stream. Well, it's good to see you here today. And Chris says, I think Speaks All of Us says, the live stream has something missing when there's no Martha. Yes, for sure. Remy says, though, I think I agree with this point. That rims craze led to car manufacturers making decent wheels from the factory now. Praise the rims in King Magazine. I will agree with that. They made it step up. Yeah, I mean, because like just like the crappy wheel and the plastic hubcap cover, like that. I mean, the car that, so like my car history goes, the current car we have now, which is a Dodge Journey that we bought from my in-laws. I had a Honda Fit for a little while, and actually had some decent rims on it. They were nice enough, or at least they were common enough. That car was a very popular car theft target. I found out. I had 2 of the wheels stolen from that car, and then before that, I did 1993 Saturn, and that car had just like, like the unfinished, not even powder coated, like whatever junky metal wheels, but with plastic hubcap covers on it. Like now, do cars still have hubcap covers? Do they still make those? I don't think so. I think there's like actual, everyone gets like real wheels now, right? Yeah. Stevie76 says, what is Nike React? A kind of EVA? I always thought it was more of like there's like some sort of rubber in it as well. I don't know if it's like a rubberized foam, like Under Armour Flow or Fresh Flow Max ground contact, but I think it's EVA with rubber. I could be wrong on that one, but rubber is part of the formulation. All right. Let's see. Webster Jones says, hello from Wales. Hello, Webster. Welcome. This can went from being like ice cold to like room temperature really fast. I guess I don't drink fast enough, but I'm talking with you guys and stuff. So yeah. Sean Marsh says, thanks to Cash Money Millionaires for the rims craze. I was in college when Cash Money Millionaires was like huge. So like whenever I hear anything from like that, like subgenre of music, it just brings me back to my college days. Yeah, definitely. It makes me laugh. Definitely makes me laugh. Mark says, I was hoping you'd pull out your favorite King magazine. Oh no, I don't think I ever had any King magazine, but yeah, I mean, just like living in St. Louis, like at that time, Nelly was also huge at the time too. And so like, yeah, it was a fun time. It was a very fun time. Will Wing says, I like to run, I like the Beacon 3 better than the 1080 version 11, says. 1080 version 11 has been a disappointment in both long runs and easy runs. I think I know what you mean on that one. The Beacon is consistent. It's been basically the same shoe for the last 3 years, and I think that's a pretty good thing, although like it's easy to then like kind of like overlook it because there hasn't been any new changes. The 1080 version 11, though, I feel like New Balance is probably like, see, we changed a good shoe and now people aren't happy. And then the Beacon 3 people are like, you should have not changed anything, just like we didn't. So like, or maybe there's the same people saying C or told you so anyway. But yeah, I think you guys know what I meant. I messed that up. But like, it's two approaches to a very popular shoe within the same company. But like, yeah, I just don't think I think that there needs to be a couple more millimeters of foam in the midfoot, in the front. I know it changes the running dynamics of it. It doesn't feel as quick, but I still need to like run in the Fresh Foam More 3. And I don't think that shoe's out yet. I haven't checked on it in a couple of weeks, but I don't think that shoe's out yet. But that's a shoe that I'll check out. I feel like the 1080 the 1080 version 10 became the Fresh Foam version 3, Fresh Foam More version 3. So that's kind of what I think happened. But I have to check to make sure. All right. Sean Marshall says, what kind of daily training would Nelly wear? Air Force Ones. Of course, obviously. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he would, if he runs. I had a friend of mine that ended up working for Nelly. I'm not sure what his real job was, but he kind of got the job playing pickup basketball one day. And then Nelly and his like entourage showed up and they played too. And they were like, oh, you're going to law school? To my friend. And he was like, yep. And then he like got enveloped into the flow. Uh-oh. All right. Camera battery just died. But now that guy is moved back home to his hometown in Nashville. Not Nashville, but somewhere in Tennessee. And now he's like he's from that small town in Tennessee, and he's like the big time small town lawyer. I think it's pretty amazing that it's like his first like legal internship job was for Nelly, the rapper. Diogo Sato says, hey man, hello from Brazil. What's going on, Diogo? And let's do a couple more, and then I got to get going. Francisco Antonio de la Vega says, hi, Kofuzi, some advice. I have a PB of 47 minutes on my 10K and 1 hour 40 on my 21K. The numbers begin to go down like I'm just new to running. By the way, I just turned 51 this month. Thanks. I mean, I would say that, if your numbers begin to go down, I'm assuming when you start talking about the marathon distance, then I would think that continued consistency and base mileage is going to be your issue because you've got plenty of speed. So, I think that 47 minutes on the 10K and then an hour 40 for the half. Yeah, I mean, I think that you probably have some room to gain on that 10K based on what you're doing in the half. And then I don't know what your marathon times are like, but if you're not happy with them, then I would say probably, I mean, I don't think you necessarily need to do more miles, but, more time in aerobic activity, whether that's running and a combination of running and cycling or swimming or other activities. But I just think more aerobic work is what I would kind of look at. Sean Marshall says, I have a Band-Aid on my face right now. That was a funny trend. I think that was a funny trend that we all knew was a funny trend when it was happening. And everyone was like, we're just going to let it go. Benoit says, is that kombucha can particularly thin? I think I know it, and I agree to stay cold. It is. I think this one is from Australia. So, you might very well know it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's generally this can shape always does that, but I don't know. All right. Okay, I think that's a good place to leave it for today. Tomorrow's video is going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's a product of a type well, it's a type that I've reviewed before, but it has a feature that I've never experienced before. And I don't really know what's going to happen or if it's even going to work. So I'm going to do kind of a first reaction video to it to see if it does what the package says it can do. It's not really for runners at all. I tried to use it while running today, and it's actually not that great for running, but it's pretty funny. And it could help me in some other running type things that I've been meaning to try and figure out how to achieve. I'm going to leave it there. Nice and mysterious. You'll have to watch the video tomorrow morning for that. And then tomorrow afternoon, we'll do another live stream. Same time as today, 3 p.m. Central Time. Hope to see you guys all there. And in the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.